morning. Welcome to Centerpiece. This is Evan Yvonne, your host. I can't get Abram out of my mind. I've been reading Apocrypha literature, and they have accounts of Abram in the Jubilee, and I just really enjoyed reading it because it gave me a lot of context to where, our Bible starts in Genesis and Abram's story. And one thing I thought that I believe is just worth sharing is that Abram, so he basically comes about in a time where there is great technological advancement. And the people at the time are kind of enthralled with sorcery, witchcraft, idol worship, and just all kinds of things. Abram comes into the scene in a very interesting way. His father apparently seemed to have been, from the way that it's written, it seems that his father was considered the priest. So these priestly duties, they predate from where I originally have been taught, just through our Bible or whatever. But I love it because it gives a little bit more context to just the human nature to want to worship. And who we are as people, if it's been buried, it's been buried in you. Because if you aren't someone who is wildly attracted to worship, or just cognizant of it, or realizing that I worship something, because we worship something. Our bodies, our beings are wired to do that. So in these early accounts, it's fascinating because they're these cities, and people have, very much like we live in now, it's just an age of just they're enthralled. They're excited about the technologies that they have. They are, excited about the abilities that they're probably able to walk in. One of the things that seemed to be happening in their time, though, is that it was very difficult to sustain a harvest. So they would plant as they were taught, but because of the different terrains and because of their, for them being outside of Eden, outside of fertile ground, into a ground which God, obviously, he cursed the ground. He didn't curse the people. He cursed the ground, saying that it was going to be difficult for them to grow anything. And that is what's happening. This is actually taking place in Abram's time. And I believe it was in Mesopotamia that he's from. So anyway, when Abram comes, so Abram's father is doing priestly duties. And at this point, I think that they were trying anything. And it is very much the story of human nature. Is that if this way isn't working, I got to try a bunch of different other ways. I found myself on the phone, over the last couple of weeks trying to remedy a situation through where my money is held digitally, because I don't have a physical bank account at a normal bank that we used to bank with. But now I do everything digitally. But I'm finding that this is kind of the activity that goes with that. And I'm very prayerful while I'm doing it, because I'm very aware that these, when things start messing with your money, that it reveals a lot about your heart, because you start treating the people bad. You start becoming real indignant, as is warranted. But as a believer and as a follower of Christ, I value self-control, and I expect self-control from other people. And I also want to I want to practice self-control. I want other people to experience a self-controlled Evan. Even if I realize I get to the point where I'm like, oh no, you're completely deceived. I've learned very well how to now swallow that and not be combative or whatever. But anyway, I can imagine the frustration that they're having during this time, trying to plant. God has already cursed the ground. He did not curse the people. He cursed the ground. And he made it difficult. And this is playing out. And so they never came to, and maybe God was taking too long, which is another scenario that is very much kind of like consistent in all of the ages, in all of the accounts of Jesus's bloodline, following it through the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. Just the impatience. Satan has always gotten us with that. That's something that he breathed pride into the world. And pride, one branch of pride is impatience. And we won't wait for God. So anyway, of course, they start making all these contraptions. They know their abilities. They start doing all of these things. And then they implement idols, because once you get to the point where it's just like, all right, God is ignoring us. He's not answering us. We're going to make an idol. And what'll happen is that God will give you what's in your heart. You set up an idol, you might have a harvest, and you'll attribute it to the idol. But there is such a test going on. And the enemy is just having fun with this at this point, because he's just manipulating and doing all of these things, which that's what he's employed to do now. The only thing that he can do. He was supposed to bring God the glory, but now he's in charge kind of just creating the mischief around everything that will continuously steal the glory from God. So at this point, they're setting up idols. Abram's father, Terah, is like kind of in charge of that. All right, I'm the priest. He knows that there is a creator, but they've become, at this point in that account, they've become the people, the citizens, the world has become so dependent upon these idols, possibly giving them a break in this kind of suffering that's happening with not being able to earn what they wanted to earn or get a harvest, or it's not successful for them and the curse is working against them and making it hard for them to do it. They're looking for the easier way out. There's consulting idols and getting half harvest, but it becomes where it's like, it's enough where it's like, all right, it appeases them, but it's not enough that they shouldn't have been like, well, why don't we just ask God? So this idol worship is going on. Terah is being the priest over this, even though he knows that there is a creator. And he ends up telling Abram, he goes, because Abram reasons with God, Abram reasons. Abram says, listen, these idols are not producing anything. Why? If we know that there is a creator and he has given us an abundance, because what happened is Abram ended up getting a harvest. He attributed it to the creator, God, Yahweh. And he reasoned that everybody else was in error because they're consulting these idols that are not capable of giving them what the creator actually gave Abram. And Abram comes up with, he actually is then also celebrated because people start coming. People start realizing that there's something happening, and he is producing harvests and keeping crops. What Abram did was he, again, in a sense, reasoned. He planted crops. They realized that at this point, the enemies were crows. Crows would come down and steal the seeds. So this was overtaking the whole region. Everybody is being kind of punked by these crows, and their harvests are being stolen. So it's just all these different ways. So Abram comes up with a solution to where it's like he takes dominion over the crows, commands the crows to go back to where they came from and to leave his harvest alone. So he starts speaking with authority, which just turns everybody's eyes and heads towards him. Abram, then, this is then when he reasons with his father, and he says, listen, I'm giving all glory to the Creator, the maker of all of the things that we're seeing, all of the events that are happening. He created all of it. I'm giving him his glory back. And because I have harvests. So the people were attracted to this. The people were attracted to it, but they didn't abandon the idol worship. They still wanted to be able to possibly get success for harvest through idol worship. And that's crazy, but it's real. It's true. It is what happens. I don't fully understand that, but I kind of get it because there is something in being able to say, I figured it out. There's something in that. And God has given us great ability to use our brains. He does want us to be intellectual. He wants us to create and to use our gifts. But there then becomes a time where he is actually speaking to us individually. I mean, collectively in this time of this account. But individually, if we're just thinking about it individually, sometimes he'll tell me, Evan, do not try to work that situation out. And it's not that is the case. I don't then turn that into the tradition where now for the rest of my life, God doesn't want me to work it out. But there will be some things where he's showing me that, no, it's me. I'm doing it. I'm testing you. And he's like helping me, to understand, like, don't go through the motions. I need you to just not touch that, even though there's a million things you can do to remedy it on your own. And that becomes the temptation to be disobedient because it's like, no, I got plans. I wanted to do this and that. I need this to happen. So in this account, Abram is like, no, the God of the creator of all of the things, he's the one that helped me. And people are like kind of 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So Abram becomes righteously indignant and he gathers all the idols of the town, puts them into a place and sets them on fire. And nobody knew he did it, but he created an issue and a problem for his family because his father is in charge of priestly duties, even with the idol worship. So he's like an Aaron of his time. How Aaron succumbed to the demands of the people to build a golden calf. This is that again, but before. So this is the DNA. This is the DNA of disobedience and wickedness when it comes to how we exalt other things over God and our willingness to be involved in idol worship. So Abram sets the place on fire. Terah finds out. He tries to, and maybe it wasn't his father. Maybe it was his uncle. Oh, that must have been the uncle. That was Lot's father. So I'm sorry, I was misrepresenting who was who. It's Lot's father all this time. He's the priest doing all this stuff, which comes interesting because of what Lot's story ends up being. His father was an idol worship lead priest of idol worship. So anyway, Abram sets it on fire. This guy goes in after it. God kills him. He dies in the fire. Now it's kind of, I think the duties then change to Abram's father's duty. And Abram's father's like, listen, because Abram goes to him, he's like, listen, these idols don't do anything. They're not like, why do we keep, why do we keep trying to worship them when they're not responsible for any progress that we need? Let's just worship the God of creation. His father goes, listen, I agree with you, but these people, they want their idols and they will kill us if I don't give them what they want. So, and he realized that Abram would need to leave. At that point is when Abram asked the Lord, where can I go? So this is a conversation that they're already kind of having. Abraham is realizing that he then destroyed these people's idols. He wants to worship the God, the creator. That's who he wants to worship. But the other people and the rest of the community, they want to worship idols. And they're willing to kill Abram because he's standing out and being different and being difficult about this. So his father is like, yeah, you need to go. And then when you find a safe place, come back and get me. So this is the plan. And this is where God comes in when we see in our testaments, in the Old Testament, in Genesis, where he says, Abram, come and follow me to a land I'm going to show you. But it was a response to Abram and all of this drama that had drummed up because Abram's heart had changed. And he was not interested in worshiping idols. And I just think that story is so comforting and so beautiful. And it is such a beautiful, not continuation, it is a beautiful introduction to what a person that is trying to escape the world looks like. He just beautifully resembles and just is a great symbol of that. What does it look like when we're trying to escape? It's a reality of walking in the shadow of death. There is that craving. I gotta get out of this. I don't want to be a part of this. And that's where God enters. We have to have things to turn away from. Yes, I don't want to spend 10 hours on the phone trying to resolve something when God is like, just leave it. It's okay. Just leave it alone. And my heart has to, at that point, be at the place where it's like, I don't even care. I don't want it. I don't want to be involved in this. I don't want to help it out. I don't want to go through the motions of it. I don't want the aggravation. I don't want the temptation to cut somebody out. I want to take my hands away from this. And so God begins to tell Abram, I'm going to show you a land. And he takes him to this land where the harvest is easy. Jesus. Oh, I celebrate him. He takes him to this land where the harvest and the ground is blessed. Okay? And when I say blessed, you can feel as you're reading the account from the Jubilee, what was that? Enoch. When you're reading the account in Enoch, what is going on in Abram in Mesopotamia and why he's leaving and why and how God has responded to him. That is the essence of come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. It is easy and it is light. I am gentle and lowly in heart, and I will give you rest for your souls. That doesn't apply any more than in that story. He led him to a land that was fruitful and easy to work. Just amazing. Just amazing. Where the ground yielded the blessing of the Lord. And it's gorgeous. It is the prettiest vision that I could ever imagine. And when I was reading it, I could feel the shift. I could feel the relief that Abram would have felt when he walked in and walked up over a hill and just saw this land. Where it's like, all right, there we go. I won't have to command crows. It's not going to nothing's going to steal my harvest. It was a space that God had already prepared, just waiting for somebody. Abram was the first deliverer. He was waiting for somebody to say, no, what we're doing is wrong. I can't do this no more. I tap out. No, this is not it for me. Yeah. But he but he was led into the direction, the path, the way that God brought him into this space of abundance as far as being able to work the ground, yield your harvest, and I'm talking about plenty. Who doesn't want that? There's no malice in God. He's just waiting for somebody to say, I don't want that. Like, I want this. I want what God, I'm going to God. I'm asking him. That's what he's waiting on. It's so pretty. So I thought I would share that because it exists a time where you're walking through the valleys of the shadows of death, or just the dark places where it's just like, this is not it. And the purpose for those spaces will always continuously be the space where you can reject and say, no, God, I need your help. That's the place. That's the place. The place that just won't yield anything to you. And he is good. He is humble. God is humble. He didn't say, well, Abraham, let's look over all that you were doing and how y'all been acting. And no, he wasn't like that. He was just waiting for someone to want him. And that was it. What a light yoke. What an easy burden. It's easy to do that. Just want them. All right. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you soon. Or talk to you soon. Bye.